Oh, hi, didn't see you there. Well, your timing is perfect. I just finished writing my essay about what makes America unique, and I was going to start editing it. If you stick around, I'll show you how I go through editing and revising, and maybe you can help me a little bit, and then you can edit and revise your own papers. Let's do it. Okay, I'm just about ready to start editing my essay, and before I dive right in, I'm going to make a list of all the things we've learned about together so far this year. That's going to turn into a little bit of a checklist for me to see what kind of changes I might want to make or what kinds of things I might look for. So the first thing I'm going to write down is paragraphs, and I'm going to abbreviate. It's going to make it easier to make my list. Now, I definitely should have paragraphs in my essay. I should have capitalized. I might check for its versus its. This is something we learned recently, and it's pretty confusing. So I definitely want to check for that. I'm going to look and see if I had transitions, and if I didn't, I'll add some. That one's particularly important if you're trying to get commended or advanced performance. I should have a good thesis sentence. Ooh, I know we learned about golden bricks. I'm hoping that I have a few of those in there. I might even look for commas. Now, we've learned a couple different comma rules. In my essay, I know that I used a lot of fanboys words. So I wouldn't check necessarily for all the commas. That might take too long on my particular essay. On yours might be different. So you might look for all the different comma rules. Spelling. I might check to see if I followed, my pillar, which would mean that I had like my 5 paragraphs, like I said, up above on my list. And I also might look to see, did I have my main idea? Did I have 4 details? That whole thing. Synonyms. This is a good thing to check for, again, if you're trying to get commended, because synonyms are going to make the difference between getting a 2 or getting a 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's quite a lot of things. I'm not going to check for all of them, but I am going to check for some. Here's a look at my fabulous essay that I wrote about what makes America unique. I'm going to zoom it in a little bit so that we can look closer at the different parts, so bear with me. So the first thing I'm going to look for, I'm looking at paragraphs. So you can see I have 1 paragraph right here, 2, I've got my 3rd one down here, and then my conclusion was on a separate page. That was 4. Now my pillar had 5 paragraphs, and if you look at it, you can see, this first one is pretty big, and we normally don't write introductions that long, so I can assume that somewhere in here I meant to start a new paragraph. So I'm going to try and see if I can find my thesis sentence. Okay, it's right here. America is unique because of the style of its government, the melting pot of cultures, and our history of success. First of all, so right here is when I start talking about something new. This was supposed to be a new paragraph. So when I write my final draft, I need to start that as its own paragraph. But I'm going to go ahead and take my hand and pat myself on the back because I feel pretty proud of that thesis sentence. I listed my 3 main ideas. I didn't give any specific examples. And then I know I went through later, and for each one I started with my main idea sentence. So I might even look back at my editing checklist and thesis. I'm going to color code it in that same color. I'm going to take another look at my checklist, and I think the next thing that I want to look for is going to be my its versus its. Now I remember from class, this type of it's a contraction of it is or it has. So anytime you mean it is or it has, you want to include the apostrophe. If I don't have the apostrophe, that's the same thing as saying his or hers. When we use those words, we don't put an apostrophe. And I'm going to use my little note card here to check and see and kind of go line by line. All right, I have an it's right here. Some people might even say it's the best. It is the best. I meant to say it is. So I need the apostrophe. I'm going to go ahead and make that change. I'm going to circle it so that when I make my final draft, I know to double check and make sure that I write it the right way. America is unique because of its style. America is unique because of it is style. America is unique because of his style, her style. I don't want the apostrophe. So that time I'm going to circle it. I'm going to cross out the apostrophe. Let's see. Here's another it's right here. It's a democratic system. It is a democratic system. Now that I'm seeing how many times I use the word it's, I'm really glad that I'm checking to make sure that I did it right in my essay. It's a government. It is a government. It is a government. So I want to circle that one and make sure that I do it right in my final copy. All right, I feel pretty good about those changes. I think the next one that I want to look for is going to be transitions. And again, this is one that really helps when it comes to getting commended, which is my goal for myself. I know a good place to put transitions is going to be the beginning of the body paragraphs. So right here where, oops, I started that new body paragraph but didn't indent, excuse me. I said, first of all, that is a transition phrase, so I'm patting myself on the back. I'm going to look down here. My second body paragraph, I don't have one. And the second body paragraph is really where I like to use the word furthermore. It's kind of long, so I'm going to write it sideways. It's a really smart sounding word. And if you're trying to get commended, you want to use good word choice. Down here for my third body paragraph, I could say also, in addition, lastly, finally. I think I'm going to go with also. And then for my conclusion, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in conclusion. Seems like a good way to wrap it up. You want to make sure you put a comma after any transition word or phrases that you use. All right, looking back at my list, let's do another one that could help me get commended. Let's see, I need a new color. Let's do green. I'm going to look for synonyms. Whoop. Now, when I'm thinking of synonyms, those are words that mean the same thing, but they're different words. And I know that I use the word America a lot because that was my country that I chose to write my essay about. And also unique. And I'm going to look and see if I use the word country a lot. Both unique and country were in the prompt. And lots of times words that are in the prompt we tend to use over and over again. So I can see America was the very first word that I used. Nothing wrong with that. America is known as the land of the free and home of the brave. I like how that sounds. But then down here in that same paragraph, I said America again. So a simple change. This time I might just say like the U.S. instead of America. First of all, so then again, in my very next sentence, I said America again. So I think for this one, maybe I'll leave it. I'll leave it every other time, and then I'll change it some of the times. America is a melting pot. For this one, I'm going to say the United States, and I'm going to write out the whole long name. The United States. And we want to make sure that we're capitalizing, not in America, not in the U.S. No, let's leave it because we're doing every other one. There are 6 different races in America. So for this one, we'll change it to the U.S. Oh, I know. Sometimes people call America the States, so that might be a good way to mix it up so that I'm not using just the same ones over again. So I'll say the States. And then I'm going to look back at my conclusion. Let's see. For this one, maybe I'll say, ooh, I'll draw a little arrow. I'm going to say the United States of America. Okay, I've got my editing checklist back out, and I've already made 1, 2, 3, 4 different changes or revisions. The last thing I'm going to look for is spelling, and I recommend doing spelling last because throughout these other changes or other steps, we've added quite a few words or phrases, so those are opportunities for, again, misspellings. When I check for spelling, my little trick that I do is I start at the end of my essay. If you start at the beginning and you read it all the way through and you have errors, sometimes your brain skips over those errors. It fills in the blanks for you. If you read your essay backwards, then you might find something that you wouldn't have otherwise. So I'm going to start with the very last word and go down the line and read each word to myself to see if I need to change the spelling of it. So for instance, right here, anywhere, that should be one word. Whoops, not 2 separate words. Government, it's, and cultures of pot melting a has successful is America. America for 1 bin half medals 2,000 over years. Okay, I don't know if you can see this right here. That's not right. Doesn't need that E. Right, and if I wasn't quite sure, I could put a question mark and then I could use the dictionary to double check and see how I want to spell it. invented were television and telephone, light bulb. Okay, light bulb, I'm not sure if that should have a space or not, so I'm going to circle it and put my question mark so I can look that up before I write my final draft. We think you do where success technological has also America, and so on and so forth.